You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fascinated maybe by the other side. Like your offensive line, their defensive line, and Baron Morton versus what they've got going on, and their DBs versus what you've got. That may be where this game is won or lost for you, honestly. But we all are curious how this defensive line will fare. I think this is where your depth has a chance to show up, because if you're running around chasing this kid, Saturday morning, you do have bodies that you can send in there, fresh ones that I think, and that certainly is, instead of, oh man, they're worn down, they're really tired in the fourth quarter. It's in altitude. Which, I've heard that altitude thing thrown around there. I just, when I was in Wyoming, altitude didn't bother you a bit. It had nothing to do with anything. You just got beat. It wasn't because you were tired or worn out. You just didn't make enough plays at the end. It was totally a football thing. Had nothing to do with the altitude. But I do think with a mobile quarterback, it is important to have depth on the interior and on the edge, so you can stay fresh, and you've got different options there to go around and chase Sim. And this is where your Terrell Tillmans, your Jaden Cofields, your AJ Holmeses, your Chetta Opheles, people like that may get some opportunities here at some point in this game and could end up making some big plays. We'll see.
Yeah, I know we're just kind of filling each other out as far as this series. Don't have a whole lot of history or familiarity between Texas Tech and Utah. But for those in Salt Lake City who don't know, we reside on the high side of Texas, only about 1,000 feet below where you are. We look down on everybody else who's enjoying that Brazos watershed runoff we're sending them down in Waco. Can you believe they actually partied next to that thing? And also Bryan, College Station, Austin, wherever else. Enjoy that runoff, boys. But yeah, only about 1,000 feet worth of elevation difference, I think, between Lubbock and Salt Lake City, actually. Okay, so you've heard about the formula from a Utah perspective. Let's get a listen to Red Raider defensive coordinator Shiel Wood talking about how they plan to attack this from a Red Raider point of view.
Hope we can get it figured out by Saturday. These guys are running for 290 yards a game. They do a great job. They've got great personnel. Their coaches do a great job. They stress you out in a lot of ways. So we just got to do a great job in our game planning this week and really work hard to make sure we can match the numbers and play with great leverage on Saturday. We want to do a good job of stopping the run. Some of the dual threat quarterbacks are guys that are involved in quarterback-driven run game. That's the case this week. And then dual threat quarterbacks that can scramble or want to scramble and extend plays in the passing game. Two different approaches. Guys that are dual threats, usually they have a little bit in their offensive package where they're going to use both in certain situations in the game. However, depending on the offensive scheme that you're facing that week, it may be more, hey, we can run him in the run game, but we prefer to allow him to extend plays and scramble from a pass game standpoint. So I think you just look at those things and then try to gauge, how you have to attack the run game because of the threat of the quarterback run. And then if maybe they're not a quarterback-driven run game in terms of actual run plays and it's more scramble ability, then you just have to approach that in terms of your pass rush lanes and different ways to maybe pressure the quarterback to keep him in the pocket, get pressure on him, and not allow him to get out.
He's describing there's a whole lot to parse there, but as he starts with matching numbers, which is what he says. So I'm interested to see a lot of the looks that Tech's going to throw at him up front. First, today's episode brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. We all make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. And with football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. You're going to love how easy and simple it is to use. And of course, Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today and use our code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. With Prize Picks, run your game.
Yeah, me too. And again, I don't think he'll show him the same thing all the time. And who's the? I've tried to think about this. I mean, this is why you hired Shiel Wood, though, is for games like this. I mean, his Houston team beat Utah last year 17-14, but again, these are very different things. That was a Utah team with an injured quarterback and not the same offense and play caller and offensive coordinator and all that stuff. But, Joey's often talked about, man, when I was calling around about Coach Wood, and I had so many people reach out to me that didn't have a dog in the fight, that basically just said he's a really, really good game day coach and feeling out the game and being able to push the right buttons and all those things. And maybe you see some of that here. I'm sure there's plenty of things that they may show that we haven't seen. And is it subtle? Is it major? Maybe both. But that part, it is. It's fascinating to me. And if you're spying them, is that Jacob Rodriguez? Is that John Curry? Is that somebody we're not thinking about? Is that Cole Wisniewski? I mean, I don't know. But it's just it'll be really interesting to see kind of what this looks like. And because Utah, don't misunderstand that they are some slow it down, huddle up, sit on it, because I've mentioned this has a chance to be like a limited possession game. They've gone on some long drives so far this season, 16, 17, 18 play type stuff, but they also will play tempo at times too. And so they're not like leaning into one way or the other. But if they get their foot on your throat, they're going to sit on it and they're going to make you stop them 3 or 4 yards at a time. And I think that they'd be okay with that in this instance if they can keep your offense over there on the sideline.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get lost in some thought of a plotting type of approach here, because there's obviously dynamic capability with these skill position guys, particularly the ball carriers. So
yeah, no doubt. It's just where they're and I mean, they wouldn't say it, but it's pretty clear when you want Micah Hudson and you brought in some portal guys at receiver in the spring and you're playing one of your DBs over at receiver, that's where they're weakest. And I would try to, if you can somehow, like, let's find out how weak, let's find out how unexplosive this may be. Let's make these guys try to beat us instead of this quarterback and stable running backs. So again, maybe easier said than done. Maybe it'd be easy to get done. I don't know, but we will all find out together.
Saturday, Chris, something fairly unique, I guess, for this season.